Hi, Mario Menjvar here, and welcome to the magic of animation. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about overlapping and follow-through. Now, overlapping basically is, just imagine someone with long hair and they're walking around and the wind is blowing, you see the hair flowing, that's overlapping, or coat reacting to someone stopping. Follow-through basically is a continuing type of action when it comes to the action coming to a complete stop. And I know that's kind of a little confusing, but trust me, it's when the action comes to a stop, something should be moving. You don't want the action to just stop and freeze because it'll look too robotic. So by having this action just follow through and then coming back and just settling, it keeps your animation alive. So let's do a little bit of that and show you how it works, combining these two things, and let's see what we come up with. So we're going to do a big guy with a big jaw, really heavy. I'm going to get this shape. And we're going to have him actually look in this direction. So now you have these two keys. So what we're going to do is that we're going to get him from drawing A to drawing B. We're going to basically do a little bit of an anticipation. And we're going to create a little bit of an overlap. We're going to do that with the jaw. So the jaw is going to overlap a bit, is going to basically come out. Let me actually add some lines here so that we can follow that mouth a little closer. So now we have these three keys actually working. So as you see, the overlapping is happening right there on that second drawing. So now let's create some more breakdowns. Now he's going to be coming up a bit. Again, his jaw is going to overlap. I'm really going to push this action so that way you can really see what's going on with the overlapping. So now we're starting to see some of that action working really nicely with the overlapping. So it looks like we have the overlapping working pretty well. Let's just start basically adding some more in-betweens here. Again, you got to make sure your arcs are there. Probably start closing his eyes. Let's add some more drawings there. Let's see how it's playing. So there you see the overlapping. You see how that jaw is actually moving really nice and loose. And that's very important because it keeps the whole animation flexible and also shows that there's skin there, you know, that it's flesh and that it's flexible, and you want to create that illusion all the time. So now we're going to start breaking down the end part. Still, that jaw is going to drag. So right now I'm going to basically add the ending, but I'm going to leave the jaw out for now. And there's a reason for it, because that's going to be the follow through. I'm going to start opening his eyes a bit. In fact, I am going to add that jaw just because I've realized that I need to end more actions in order for it to get to that follow through. So this key drawing basically is going to be his jaw and his mouth is going to actually come out now. So it's going to pass this part of his mouth It'll pass it and then come back and settle. So it kind of looks like he's kissing someone. So now I'm going to in between both of these, the key and that key that I just did, I'm going to now in between that, so that way we can start getting that follow through working really nicely. And I'm going to slow that in just a bit by adding another one. And now I'm going to settle that jaw. And hopefully we should be home free after that one. So let's see what we can add. Let me just take this one out first. Okay, this one. So we add another in between. Okay, let's see what we have. And there we have overlapping with the jaw and the follow through with the jaw settling down basically. So as the action comes to a stop, as he turns and he comes to a stop, his jaw is going to be dragging and then it's going to overlap and then follow through by going forward and then settling back again. And that keeps your animation alive. Instead of just having the character just turn his head and having everything following in the same timing, which is not what you want to do. You want to break up that timing so that way you can feel a little fleshy. So that's how you do overlapping and follow through. So give it a shot, have fun, and I'll see you next time. Here's an art tip. Draw animals. If you want to be in the animation industry or do any type of art, you have to know how to draw animals. Especially in the animation industry where almost every film, there's an animal involved. So draw a lot of animals and become really good at it. And you're going to see your drawings improve really, really well. In this lesson, we'll be covering secondary action. Now, a secondary action is a gesture that supports the main action. So in other words, let's say if the main action is for me to drink water from this bottle, that will be the main action. Now, the secondary action will probably be something like this, just to make it more interesting. So you saw what I did? Instead of just drinking the water, I added something to it, something that says about what that action is about, just to make it a little more interesting. So let's do some secondary action and see what we can come up with. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to draw a character, let's say a person that's kind of like upset. So the pose is saying that he's upset and his hands are on a table. So when you see this pose, basically, it's probably enough to show that, this gentleman is a little upset. The gesture is working really nicely, but you want to add something to it. You want to make it stronger. You want to make sure that message of him being angry is working really well. So we're going to add a secondary action that relates to that action that he is making right now. So we're going to add another one. We're basically going to kind of like trace back his body. A trace back is basically just tracing the drawing exactly the way it is, except for his mouth. I'm going to basically make his mouth go up and down so you can see some anger in him. But I'm going to start picking up his finger. He's going to be pointing. And that's going to be the secondary action. And now we're going to bring his finger down. Now this character is really making a point that he's upset. Instead of pounding on the table, he's using his fingers to express himself a little more. when it comes to pointing down and just kind of hitting the table up and down. So this is what's going on. He's going up and down, up and down. Again, we're doing a trace back for the rest of his body. Don't worry too much about the details there. That's a still. I'm going to make sure he slows out of that pose just a bit. So again, we're just adding this gesture right now. So like I was saying before, so this character can make his point, get his point across on whoever he's upset with. So now we're going to bring his upper arm a little higher, so that way he can repeat that action. And we'll do one more. Okay, so now we're going to in between these key drawings. And we hit another in between. So let's see what we have so far. As you see, he's really making his point across. I mean, he's angry, and just by him pointing down, basically just pointing his finger down on the table, is getting his point across of how upset he really is. Instead of just keeping his hand on the table and having him do nothing but just yell and just have him just move his mouth, by just adding that secondary action, is just a gesture, and you don't want it to take over the whole meaning of what the animation scene is going to be about. You just want it to kind of like help it along, so that way the audience can feel more of the impact of that pose, so that way they can understand where the character is coming from. So that's how you do a secondary action. So give it a shot, have fun, and I'll see you next time. What's great about the Disney Studios is that every time we're going to start a new film, we have to do research. So the studio decided, this is back in Florida, to bring in live lions. They brought in little baby lions, and they had them walk around us as we were drawing these cute little creatures. And one thing that I didn't realize about these young lions is that they're powerful. They love to butt their head on your leg. And one came up to me and basically pushed my whole leg. That's how strong he was. And when I touched it, it was like touching a rock. That's how you understand what you're animating and who your characters are. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and I'll see you next time on The Magic of Animation.